Hi, my name is Dr. Boz and I'm back today talking about the ketogenic diet, and today we're going to cover what could possibly go wrong. There's a few of these that I'm putting out, but today we're going to focus on the magnesium and what happens when you're on a ketogenic diet relative to your magnesium levels. I want to show this slide that I made that has symptoms of what happens when magnesium goes low. I'm just going to read off a few of these while you look at this slide. Confusion, anxiety, mood swings, heart skipping, diarrhea, cramps, inattention, nausea, depression. Those are just to name a few. As I look at a ketogenic diet and some of the side effects that happen within the first week, I contend that a lot of them are related to what happens when the magnesium level goes low. I would state that the people watching this video or anybody that's reading my blog, especially if you're in America, most of you are low on magnesium, or you hover right on the edge of just enough magnesium to not have any symptoms at the moment. If you tip it over to a little bit less magnesium, many of these symptoms show up. I think of low magnesium as about as prominent as Americans being sleep deprived. And just like with being sleep deprived, the education on what symptoms you're experiencing that are actually a result of that are a powerful teachable moment. Let's remind you that magnesium is a salt. It's very important for helping the proteins within your body function and do the jobs that they need to do for electrical conduction, as well as keeping a cell membrane from being twitchy. Those symptoms we went through a minute ago are a list of many of the side effects that happen when magnesium is low. And I often find that patients have symptoms of low magnesium and they don't even consider it until they have that classic muscle cramp. Now, a muscle cramp usually is a symptom of a Charlie horse in the back of your leg, or sometimes a really tough crick in their neck that just doesn't seem to be able to go away. And although those are part of having a low magnesium, so are being irritable, having trouble concentrating, not being able to get through your workday without taking multiple breaks. Magnesium is very much a part of how your mind works. When you drop magnesium quickly, I teach patients that it'll make your brain twitch. It's a little extreme, but those twitches they get forgetful, or their brain seems to bounce around from thought to thought, like inattention problems. And although those are true, the fatigue and the slower thinking is something that patients don't often dial into enough to give credit that this could be due to low magnesium. We've all experienced a quick drop in our magnesium after having a bout of diarrhea. Those rapid bowel movements flush out that salt very quickly, and the next day you'll hear patients complain of maybe the muscle cramps, but they also complain of just feeling very slow or feeling very tired or fatigued. And it isn't until that 2 or 3 days after the illness that their body feels like it's got the energy back. So think of that magnesium dropping as a quick barometer for how well you can keep up with the demands of the day, in part have to do with how well your magnesium is replaced. The same thing happens that first week or so on a ketogenic diet. When patients go from a standard American diet with high carbohydrates and then they switch to less than 20 carbs a day, their system flushes out a whole bunch of extra water. I've gone through this in other videos where the glucose decreases. Glucose is one of the parts that holds on to water. With less glucose, there's less particles holding onto the water, and they pee out a lot of extra fluid. Just like with diarrhea, out goes the magnesium, whether it's through your urine or the stools. Both patients experience this profound sadness or irritability, or they're crabby. And I'll have patients say, I can't do it, doc. I started on that ketogenic diet and the next day I got depressed. If I prepare them better to say, no, you got to prepare that your magnesium is going to drop. Most of us hang out on the edge of low magnesium anyway, and this ketogenic diet will flip you into the symptom phase of having low magnesium almost universally when you're on the edge like that. When your magnesium is low, it's a pretty easy guess that the way you fix it is to raise your magnesium. So you can go to the grocery store and buy a magnesium supplement and you should be good, right? It's not quite that easy. If you want to see a wonderful way to cause diarrhea, add a whole bunch of magnesium to your diet in a short period of time. I learned about this the most profound way when I was 18 years old and I took a job at a nursing home. I was helping the nurse assist the residents that lived there. I walk into the job the first day and there is a report room where one team is passing off to the next team about what's gone on with the residents and what we need to be aware of. On the back wall of the report room was a banner, like a 10-foot banner that said, "Bribe them with their bowels." And I asked her what the banner means. She kind of looks at me like I'm naive and don't know what I'm doing, which was true. And she's like, "Nobody that lives here poops well. They all need help pooping." And she drove home the point even further when she went over and grabbed the big jug, the industrial-sized jug of milk of magnesia, which is liquid magnesium, essentially, and she ordered me to take a taste of it. It was awful. She then handed me a clipboard and said, "This is the list of non-poopers. They have no documented bowel movement in the last 5 days. I need you to go have each of them have their dose of liquid magnesium." And sure enough, you bribed them that this awful tasting stuff was going to help them poop, and every single one of them took the medicine without any further questions. The point I'm making is magnesium, when you add it to your gut, is a salt and it will cause diarrhea. Milk of magnesia has made a market out of this. Even when you go to the textbook and look up which foods are high in magnesium and say, "Oh, I'm going to eat those foods," we no longer can trust that those foods are high in magnesium because of the worldwide shortage of soils that are high in magnesium. Without the soil being high in magnesium, the foods that are supposed to be high in magnesium don't have a supply. So like any food chain, if the supply at the bottom of the food chain is low, the folks at the top of the food chain are also going to be low on that mineral. Which brings me back to my favorite way to replace magnesium is your skin. Yes, the largest organ in the body is the skin. And you can absorb magnesium through salt baths that are high in magnesium. This isn't just a urban wives' tale where your mother said, "Go take an Epsom salt bath and you'll feel better." You will, because you're probably low on magnesium. There are studies that show if you fill a bathtub with the right amount of magnesium salts and you soak in it for up to 40 minutes twice a week, you can replace that magnesium deficit pretty easily. My favorite thing to do for patients is to actually get out a prescription pad, which I don't use very often anymore with electronic charting, and I write on the prescription pad to put 6 to 8 cups of magnesium salts into a bath and soak for 40 minutes twice a week. And I hand it to them, I have them read it out loud, and they're kind of confused, like, what is this gonna do? Not only does it prescribe them the right amount of salts needed for the average size bathtub, it's great to put on the door to prevent anybody from interrupting that they need 40 minutes in that nice warm water to be able to have enough magnesium absorb in that time. One of my favorite life hacks for magnesium replacement is through the garbage bin that's under my desk. In that garbage bin, I have it 3/4 filled with water, and I have a full bag of magnesium chloride in there. I use one of my dad's water tank heaters to heat up the water, and whenever I sit down to write, I heat up the water, take out the heater, and then put my feet in to soak while I write. And although it isn't a full immersion of my body like a bathtub would be, I find that the magnesium soaks routinely like that have done a great job at keeping my magnesium replaced. I think my best writing happens when I have my magnesium replaced, so I've kind of used it as part of my routine. In patients who've had a severe problem with magnesium, or they're just having a tough time getting ahead of all the things that can go wrong when they first get on a ketogenic diet, it's a rare occasion where we give magnesium IV. We can do that. We can also give it a shot in the muscle that would replace it. I really don't like to do that. I think it's a quick fix that does get them over the moment, but is probably not the best way to teach them how to replace their magnesium long term. That's it for today. I hope you've learned what can go wrong with magnesium in that first 1 to 2 weeks of having a ketogenic diet. This is a great antidote for that. If you want to learn more about the ketogenic diet, you can check out my book called Any Way You Can on Amazon or Audible. Until next time, I'm signing off. This is Dr. Boz.